So today we're going to do the handover video on the Swift Bessecarr 596. We're going to start on the outside and then we're going to move on to the inside. So firstly, coming over to the passenger side, you have your fill-up points. So before I open it up, your fill-up points are just on the passenger side here, and this is for your diesel. Obviously make sure that that's diesel and not petrol, and that goes straight into there. If I open up the passenger side door, you'll notice that on your passenger side you've got your bonnet release catch, which is here, and also whilst I'm here you've got your remiss cab blinds. To operate these, all you need to do is simply pinch and then pull the blind out. What I typically find is it's a lot easier to pull and follow the blind from the bottom, because what that is going to allow you to do is connect it up to the side, because it often does get caught at the bottom there. So just make sure that you send that across. When you're sending it back as well, again, just lead from the bottom so you can clip it in. You've also got these blinds at the front as well, which are here, and also on the other side. These blinds, obviously, what they do is black out the entire cab, and they're fully breathable, so it will reduce condensation, which will build up typically when you're in the vehicle. What we say is, if it does feel like you're forcing anything, and this is a rule of thumb with anything in a motorhome, is just think about it, you're probably doing something wrong. So if something feels like it's being forced, just take a minute just to think what you're doing wrong, and then reevaluate obviously the steps, and then you can go from there, because they are quite delicate. Next, moving on to the bonnet, as I say, I've released the bonnet just on this side, and I'm going to take you around now. I'll just lift the bonnet up now for you. With the bonnet lifted, you can see obviously everything underneath here. The main things that you need to know underneath here is if you're ever going to jump start the vehicle. If that is the case, you've got your negative points, which goes onto here, and then your positive point, which is just underneath this cap here. On this cap you've got a plus sign which indicates that it's positive, and then you just need to flip that up and then you connect onto there. They're the main things that you need to know, but just whilst I've got this open, just to point out a couple of things. You've got your engine oil here with your dipstick below. You've then got your brake disc fluid, which is here, your engine coolant, your power steering fluid, and then finally your washer fluid, which is just in there. Moving around the vehicle to this side, firstly, you'll notice that you've got your hookup point, which is just onto here, so when you're on site you can hook up. Next, you've then got your fill-up point for your water. You'll then notice also a little cap which is on the side here. I'm not going to take that off, but with this, what you can do is, if you're ever on a smart site, you can get a pump with and a hose that'll then connect into there, and then you'll feed it into your smart site, and what that'll do is it'll just keep on pumping fresh water into your tank just on demand, so it'll stop you saving obviously from filling up your freshwater tank when you run out. So it'll just keep on refilling it for you, and as I say, that is if you're on a smart site. Now below this area, you'll notice it's currently coming out to the bottom, but I've got your fresh tank drain, which is just located underneath this area for your fresh water tank. As I say, we've got a little bit trickling out at the moment because I've not closed the valve, but you'll notice that you've got a blue box on the side of here, and this goes for the same drain on the on your wastewater, because what that does is this system is electric. So what it does is, on the inside of the vehicle, rather than going down here and turning a lever to dump the water, you can go on the inside, you click a button, which I'll show you when we move on to the inside, and that'll allow you to drain down the areas. As I say, you've got a fresh water, which is for here, and your wastewater is down at the bottom here, which I'll show you once I move on to. Whilst I'm quickly talking about your drain down points, you've got three main ones. You've got one for your fresh water, one for your wastewater, and then one final one which is for your boiler. And they're all important, they all need to be drained down, especially in the colder months, because you don't want obviously frozen water in the system. When you're travelling as well, as it is just water, what we say is when you're travelling, leave them valves open, because what you're going to do is the vibration of the road is naturally going to get all that water out of the system. So, you know, it's going to dump it all. And after all, it is just water, so it's not going to harm anything. Moving on, you've then got this storage area here. If I undo that, I can then pull this out, and you've got a bit of a storage box there, great for wellies and bits that you don't want cluttering up the vehicle. You've then got your external shower point, which is there. just above your cassette toilet. Your cassette toilet I'm going to open now and show you how to use. Once open, you'll notice that this is your cassette toilet. When operating this, all you need to do is pull up on this lever and then simply pull out. Once you've done that, that'll then allow you to obviously take the cassette out. Now when using the cassette, and emptying it rather, the main thing that you need to know before removing it is that the blade on the toilet is closed. I'll show you this when we're on the inside of the vehicle, but what the blade does is it opens and closes the cassette. When it's closed, it allows this to remove. When it's open, it obviously opens the blade of the cassette, which is on the top of there, which obviously allows you to use it for all the waste to drop into the cassette, and therefore means that it gets stuck in there. What typically happens is that blade may be open, and customers often forget that. So what typically happens is you'll go to remove it, you'll pull it, and obviously it'll get stuck, and then you'll simply pull it out and you'll jam it, and therefore break the system. So make sure that that blade is always closed. When operating this and using it to empty it, make sure, as I say, the blade's closed, and then you can simply remove. To empty this, you need to simply pull out the arm, unscrew the cap, and then empty. When you are emptying, you've got a handle at the front there to guide you, and you've got two buttons on the back. The rear button releases a vacuum, so if I click that in, that's going to release a vacuum which is internal to the cassette and allow all the contents to flow out in one steady flow. You've then got this second button which almost looks like a switch, and this is what makes contact with the blade, as I was discussing. So when the blade is open, it turns this this little knob and opens up the cassette. Obviously that needs to be in that position when you're pushing it back in, and you don't need to do anything with that. Obviously make sure that that retains in that, it stays in that position rather. You can simply then slide back in once you're done, just like that. Now included in this, you have got a handle which you might have seen I pulled out before, which is in here. That allows you to pull it out. You've got some wheels on the back just to help you obviously get it to the disposal point, because it can get quite heavy if you do have it full. When cleaning this system out, you obviously need either some toilet sachets or blue liquid, and they can go straight into the cassette through that pipe there. Moving on from the cassette toilet, you've then got your waste tank drain, which is here, which, as I say, is the same as the fresh and operated via electrics in the vehicle. You can see that blue box operates that. So you've got them there. And then obviously you've got your storage area in the back, which is here. Moving along to the back of the vehicle, you've got your bike rack, which is on the back, along with your reversing camera as well. You've then got some more storage on the other side and a little bit more access to it. And then you've got an external 230 volt socket as well. So when you're using the awning outside and you've got it pulled out, you can plug something in. You've then got your fridge vents on this side of the vehicle. Your fridge, I'll go more into depth on that when we're on the inside of the vehicle and how to use it. But this is where the fridge pulls its air from. So what I do is, if you can, if the sun is beating down on this side of the vehicle, turn the vehicle around, because obviously this is where it pulls the air from. So try and help the fridge out. As you can imagine, it's not like a domestic fridge. So it's, you know, it does need helping. It doesn't draw the same power as a domestic fridge, so just bear that in mind. Moving on, you've then got your gas point for an external gas point, and then you've got a Truma vent, which in essence, an Aldi vent, which in essence is the vehicle's chimney. That does get very hot, so you need to obviously make sure that that area is clear, and just be careful of that. Never hang anything on there. Coming to the front, you've got your gas bottles which go in there, which once this is open, you can easily remove and swap out. The main thing with the gas is obviously when you are travelling, make sure that it's turned off at the gas bottle, because obviously you don't want any gas in the vehicle due to safety. Finally, before I move on to the inside of the vehicle, as I briefly mentioned, you've got your awning on the side of here. To operate the awning, you'll notice that you've got a little T into there. You've got your awning pole, which then connects into that T. You then need to twist it, and that allows it to hook in. You then simply wind out the awning. You can bring it all the way out, or sorry, bring it out to a level that you can then reach, and you've got some legs located in the awning. You then need to pull the legs out, let them drop down, and then simply let them take the weight of the awning. So unscrew them, get them into position, and then tighten them. What you need to do then is angle the legs almost like this, and then wind out the awning, and simply walk it out and do that. When you are putting it back, do the opposite, and then you're good to go. With your awning on a windy day, I don't advise using it, because as you can imagine, it's like having a massive sail on the side of your vehicle, so you just do need to be sensible about where you use your awning and how you use it. Now that concludes the outside of the vehicle. We're now going to move on to the inside to discuss obviously your water systems and various you know, extras and options in there. Okie dokie, moving on to the inside of the vehicle. You'll notice just above your habitation door, you have your control panel. So everything that you need to operate the vehicle for can be done up here. So firstly, we're going to talk about your control panel. So I'll just focus this in. Your control panel is really simple in essence. You've firstly got a power button here, as you can see. All you need to do, turn that off, and that is your master switch. That turns and that activates and deactivates everything. If I click that on, you'll notice that your lights turn on. Opposite here, you've got some information button, obviously, to help you navigate through the screen. You've then got your internal lights here, which also do your lights at the front. And then finally, I know it's quite hard to see on the screen there, but you have got another button for a light, which is outside as well. Moving across, as you can see, you've also got some arrows. The arrows allow you obviously to navigate through the screen, which I'll talk you through now. So navigating through the screen, you firstly got your vehicle battery, which indicates that it's good. You then got solar to leisure. Your select battery, so if you wanted, you can select obviously which battery is used to power the vehicle. Never select this on vehicle, always leave it on leisure. You don't want to select it on vehicle because it will just drain the vehicle battery. You then got your tank heaters, which if you wanted, you can activate. It's worth noting, obviously, these two arrows up at the top and bottom can navigate through the options, and then the middle button, which is just there, allows you to enter and select the option. Carrying on through, you've then got your internal temperature, your dimmer level for your internal lights, and then your heater settings if you want to go through it. You've got your fridge settings as well, and then finally the system settings. Now these have all been checked on PDI. It also indicates that your leisure battery at the moment is poor. The reason being is we're not plugged in at the moment, hence why it just needs a bit of charge in the battery. And then we're back to where we started at your vehicle battery. Now, the main thing that you need to know on this system is how to pump the water. So on this system, a lot of these buttons on here are indicator buttons. The main functional buttons are your lights, your power button, which is your main master, and also your pump, which is this button here. So if I click this, it'll activate the pump and allow, obviously, water to come out the tap. Now, your pump, when are you going to be using it? What you're going to do is you're going to firstly fill up your tank full of water. You're then going to go to each of your taps, including your shower. You're going to turn them on and you're going to turn them to hot. What that's going to do, it's going to pull fresh water from the boiler, from the fresh water tank into the boiler and then out of the tap. It's going to spurt and splutter, and what that's going to do is going to prime your system. So it's going to prime your boiler and then prime your pipeline, and it's going to spurt and splutter, and then when it's running steadily, you prime your system for your hot water. Once you've done that for your hot, you need to flick it over to cooled and do the exact same. Now you need to do this, as I say, for all your taps and also your shower. And then once you've done that, you know, you've done it. You've managed to you've primed your system. Now once you've done that, each of your taps have got something called a micro switch, and what that's going to do is when you turn it on, it's going to activate that micro switch and allow all the water to come out, just as you would have naturally in your house. So you don't have to therefore turn off the pump. The only time you need to turn off the pump, and make sure that you do, is when you've not got any water in the system, because if you do run the pump without any water, you're going to obviously burn out the pump. Now if you do try and run the run the pump without any water, you will get a warning light on here where it'll indicate obviously the dangers of doing that. So it'll just remind you. And that's everything really for that panel. So as I say, the majority of it on there is for your is indicators, but you have also got some functional elements to it. Next, we're moving on to your fresh water and wastewater drain down points. As I say, they're external to the vehicle. However, you drain them from the inside of the vehicle, and that is done just above the habitation door as you walk in. Dead simple. All you got to do, flick down on the fresh and flick down on the waste. That's then going to dump that water out, and you can do that obviously when you're travelling. I'll keep a bit of water in, so I'll flick them back up. But it's a really good system. It means it's dead easy and dead simple to empty the water. After explaining that, you've then got your heating system, which is up here. This particular vehicle uses an Aldi heating system. Now what that is it's very similar to central heating at home. In the fact it's got a pipe with water in, and that pipe goes the length of the vehicle and is used to heat the van. In essence, it's a radiator system. To operate this, you need to turn on the system first, which all you need to do is just click that button there. Give it a minute to load up. And if I click on menu, you can then activate and use the systems. So initially at the top, you've got your vehicle temperature. This is a touchscreen, so you can alter the temperature accordingly. Beneath that, you've then got your water, so temperature, so you can run your heating off your water here. So you've got medium and high, as you can see. Medium is approximately 40 degrees, and the high, when it's full, is approximately 70 degrees. You'll have it on full, obviously, when you're washing up, and then 40 degrees when you're having a shower and things like that. So you've got heater, which is for the top, and then you've got your water heater, which is at the bottom here, just below that. Finally, at the bottom of the screen, you've got your fuel. So you've got a couple options in regards to fuel. You can either run it off gas, so when you're wild camping, you can click this button here, and that'll run the system off gas. Or you can run it off electric, which you can see by this lightning bulb indicates electric. You've got a couple of options with electric, depending on how much power you supplied. You can run it either off 1 kilowatt electric, 2 kilowatt electric, or, if I click again, 3 kilowatt electric. Again, just depending on what you're supplied with on the campsite. You've then got your settings here, which you can then use to change, obviously, options and also reset it. The only time you're going to need to reset this panel, which is up there, is if you ever get an error code. The time that you usually get an error code is, for example, if you're trying to heat the vehicle with something that you've not got. So you're trying to heat the vehicle with a fuel that you've not got, so you're trying to heat it with gas, for example, you've not got any gas supplied to the van. So it's just something to bear in mind. Always make sure that you're trying to heat the van with something that you have got, whether that being gas or electric. To turn this system off, all you've got to do is simply hold, and that'll turn off the system. Just like that. Moving on from the control panel, we're moving into your kitchen area. We've talked about priming your system, so we're fine with that. Next, you've got obviously storage up at the top here, as you can see. You've got your microwave just beside that. Oh, it is worth mentioning that your microwave will only work off 230 volts, so just bear that in mind. Below this area, you've got your oven and grill, along with your hob, which is on the top here. You've got one electric ring as well, which is just there, which is quite nice, obviously, if you are on site, so you can use your electric. Make sure that clips down and into place. Underneath here, you've got some more storage as well. And then moving through to your fridge. Your fridge, as I discussed outside, isn't like a domestic fridge. Now, your fridge is known as a three-way fridge. And what that means is there's 3 ways to power it. So if I open it up, you'll notice that you've got a control panel, which is up at the top here. You've got a bit of storage as well, which is worth mentioning, just through there, with your solar panel regulator, which is just flashing as well in there.